in the back for Dr. Fauci. Last question. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you so much. Dr. Fauci, if I could just ask you to reflect on the early days of this pandemic and the mixed messages that were coming out of, this White House, and how that affected people's trust, and how you're going to take that message forward in future pandemics, and the importance of trust, and how you would advise Dr. Jha and his colleagues to emphasize that in future pandemics.
Well, there was really a difference early on in the first weeks to months of the outbreak, because we were dealing with truly a moving target. And when you're dealing with things like reporting and discussing with the press, making recommendations, making guidelines, you have to make it on the basis of the information that you have at that time. But what's happening is that we were not dealing with a static situation. We were dealing with a dynamic situation. First, we thought it was just animal to human, didn't spread well from human to human. Then we found that it spread very well. And then we found out that it spread enormously well. Then we found out that it was aerosolized. Then we found out that 50 to 60% of the people who transmit it don't have any symptoms at all. So the recommendations that were based on what you knew in January, when you get to March, April, and May, they will change. Understandably, that leads to a question on the part of the public is why they keep changing things. A simple comparison and analogy, in January, 2 + 2 = 4. In April, May, August, September, 2 + 2 still equals 4. When you're dealing with an evolving outbreak where the information you get changes from week to week and month to month, we've got to probably do a better job of, when we talk to the public, explain that this is a dynamic situation that could change. I've said that from this podium multiple times when we were talking about, for example, do we need to do anything different now when we had 15 cases? I said, but, however, semicolon, this could change. The only thing people heard when they throw it back at you, well, you said we don't have to worry about anything. So you just got to make sure you always underscore the dynamic nature of what you're dealing with.
But Dr. Fauci, I'm sorry to contradict you, but there was some dubious advice coming out of the
Excuse
White House.
me?
There was some dubious advice, some questionable medical advice coming out of non-doctors at this podium. How do you think that affected the progress of this pandemic?
Well,
and
you remember, if you were around, that at this podium I contradicted those, which set off a whole series of things in my life. But, yeah, I mean, we have to continue, and we were just talking about this a little while ago. The way you counter misinformation and disinformation is that to do whatever you can, as often as you can, to provide correct information. The people who have correct information, who take science seriously, who don't have strange way out theories about things, but who base what they say on evidence and data, need to speak up more, because the other side that just keeps putting out misinformation and disinformation seems to be tireless in that effort, and it's going to be very difficult.
All right, thank you, Dr.
How are
Fauci.
you preparing
Thank you.
for the likely
Thank you.
aggressive oversight from House Republicans, the new majority next year that they've been
So,
promising on some
hold
of
on
these
one
very
second. Dr. Jha is going to stay to take a couple more questions, but Dr. Fauci actually has to go. So thank you so much, Dr. Fauci.
Thank you. I can answer this
You want
question.
to answer it?
Yeah.
Okay. He says I'll
See,
answer it.
I'm
Okay,
a
go
good-
ahead. Go ahead. I'm just trying to keep him
all
on
right.
time.
The answer is, if there are oversight hearings, I absolutely will cooperate fully and testify before the Congress if asked. You may not know, but I've testified before the Congress a few hundred times, okay, over the last 40 years or so. So I have no trouble testifying. We can defend and explain and stand by everything that we've said. So I have nothing to hide.
Just a quick follow-up on that, Dr. Fauci. How much do you think, Dr. Fauci, how much, just a follow-up on the oversight, Dr. Fauci.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fauci.